There's a type of female silence that doesn't come as calm, but as a warning. It's not the silence of someone who is relaxed, busy, or simply respecting their own space. It's a different kind of silence, almost heavy, that arises when she's already emotionally connected to something or someone outside the relationship. And the most dangerous thing is that many men confuse this silence with maturity, when in fact it's the first symptom of emotional displacement. She doesn't confront, doesn't fight, doesn't complain. She just withdraws, as if she's already found another place where her emotions are being nourished. This type of silence appears when she has already compared, reflected, and realized internally that there is a more attractive emotional alternative than you, even if that alternative hasn't yet become a relationship. It's the silence where she stops looking for you, but remains available for another type of attention, where she no longer gets irritated by your mistakes, because someone is already emotionally filling what you left uncovered. This silence doesn't come to destroy the relationship, but to prepare the ground. And when you realize it, you're no longer the emotional protagonist of her life. You've become a supporting character. This is where emotional betrayal begins, long before any message is sent, long before any meeting is arranged. It all starts with the silence you ignored. After the initial silence, subtle changes emerge, so subtle that she truly believes you'll never notice. This is where emotional disconnection disguises itself as personal evolution. She changes her behavior, the pace of her responses, the sparkle in her eyes when she talks to you. But she doesn't change because of you. She changes because of the invisible presence that already exists elsewhere. She starts taking better care of her appearance, but doesn't tell you why. She starts laughing alone on her phone, but hides the screen almost imperceptibly. She starts treating you with exaggerated politeness, as if you were just someone she socializes with, not someone she's intimate with. This is the point where many men believe that everything is calming down, when, in fact, she's just transferring her emotional energy to another space. She no longer argues because she has emotionally given up trying to make you understand what needed to change. She no longer charges because someone is offering even without knowing exactly what she always wanted to receive. This chapter of disconnection is silent, strategic, and almost imperceptible until you wake up to realize that she is emotionally too far away to be easily brought back. Emotional betrayal doesn't begin with a forbidden conversation. It begins with the void she leaves between you and the new emotional source she has found. You begin to realize that something is wrong, but you don't know exactly what it is. Conversations become shallow, responses become dry, and the attention that was once yours is now directed to something she never mentions. This stage is the most dangerous because it's the moment when she already feels emotionally understood by another man, even if that man doesn't know the impact he's having. It could be a colleague, a friend, someone who appeared at the exact moment you stopped being her safe haven. Here, she no longer sees you as an emotional priority. And when that happens, any attempt at closeness on your part sounds like insistence, not affection. You try, but it's too late. She's already in another emotional universe, connected to someone who may not even know the power they have. This is the true point of no return, when you realize you've lost something you didn't even know was being fought over. Before any real man is involved, there's an imaginary man, a character she silently constructs in her own mind. Not because she wants to cheat, but because emotionally she no longer finds in you what she once did. This invisible man is made of details, attention, curiosity, validation. He's not necessarily a specific person, but a projection of how she would like to be treated. And without realizing it, she starts comparing you to this imaginary character, and you lose because he doesn't make mistakes, doesn't get distracted, doesn't fail. He represents everything you failed to deliver. This is where her distancing gains strength. She starts looking at you as someone who no longer understands her, someone who doesn't keep up with her emotionally, someone who doesn't see what she needs without her having to ask. This invisible man is the first step towards the emergence of a real man who will occupy that emotional space. Because when she creates silence, it's not absence, it's preparation. The body remains present, but the mind is increasingly distant. When this internal process begins, you are already competing with an idealized version of someone who doesn't even exist yet, and that's the hardest battle to win. When the imaginary man ceases to be enough, she opens the first emotional door. This door isn't a forbidden conversation. It isn't a late-night text exchange. It's something much more subtle. It's when she starts allowing another person to influence her emotionally. It could be a compliment she accepts without discomfort, a glance she doesn't avert, a conversation she prolongs a little longer than it should. Small gestures that seem harmless, but create an emotional bridge. She feels that someone notices her in a way that you no longer notice. And the moment she allows this emotional entry, the connection with you begins to weaken rapidly. She doesn't confront you because she doesn't want to break up immediately. She just wants to understand if there's something better out there. And when she finds someone who awakens in her the feeling of being seen again, she begins to save her feelings for this new emotional source and not for you. This is the most difficult moment to notice because she doesn't change abruptly. She just starts directing the best part of herself elsewhere. And when that happens, you're losing a battle you didn't even know was happening. When she crosses that emotional line, she's no longer with you, but she's not yet with another man either. She finds herself in a kind of emotionally neutral ground, where nothing you do seems enough, and any gesture from another person seems far more significant than it should be. Here, she loses the will to resolve conflicts because her mind no longer sees you as someone worth building a future with. And at the same time, she still doesn't have the courage to fully embrace the other side because, deep down, she knows she's about to take a step that could change everything. It's at this stage that you notice the coldness. The kisses become mechanical. The conversations become heavy. The touch becomes distant. She doesn't say anything, but feels everything. And the more you try to win her back, the more she shuts down because she believes any attempt on your part is now too late. She no longer belongs to the relationship, but she doesn't belong to the other person either. It's an emotional limbo, and it's precisely there that emotional betrayal is born. When she reaches this stage of emotional neutrality, there's one last sign that almost no man notices. It's when she starts living two versions of herself. The public persona, which still maintains the routine, the necessary conversations, the superficial interaction, and the internal persona, which can no longer imagine being by your side. She no longer argues, demands, or complains. And that's precisely what's confusing, because while you believe that silence means peace, in reality, it means giving up. She no longer wants to fix anything, doesn't want to explain anything, and doesn't want to ask for anything. She simply observes what's missing and keeps this emptiness as an emotional justification for what she's about to do. Here, she also begins to physically distance herself without it seeming intentional. The hug becomes bureaucratic, the kiss becomes a habit, and her gaze no longer seeks you out. It's as if her body is by your side out of obligation, but her soul is seeking another destiny. Her silence isn't absence, it's disconnection. And when disconnection becomes routine, the next step happens inevitably. She finds someone who says what you don't say, perceives what you don't perceive, and delivers what you stop delivering. And it's precisely at this moment that emotional betrayal ceases to be a possibility and becomes a consequence. When she reaches this final point, silence is no longer just a symptom, it's a verdict. She has already decided emotionally, even if she hasn't verbalized it. And the greatest illusion a man can have is believing there's still time when she's already crossed that internal line. Here, it's not about begging, pressuring, or monitoring. It's about understanding that reconnection only happens when you become someone she emotionally respects again. She needs to feel that you've regained your center, your strength, your presence, that you've started to see what really matters again. But, above all, she needs to realize that you've stopped being predictable. A woman never returns to someone she's lost respect for, but she reconsiders when she perceives real transformation. Not that dramatic and desperate change, but the change that comes from clarity and self-awareness. Her silence can be an end or a warning to start over. The difference lies in the man you choose to be from now on. If this video opened your eyes or helped you understand something you never realized before, then subscribe to the channel, because here I deliver truths that no one dares to say. Comment below what made the most sense to you and share this video with someone who needs to hear this today. Your participation strengthens this community and helps me continue bringing content that truly transforms.